Here we have the legendary Garry Kasparov in a simultaneous exhibition. His opponent opens with the French defense, a solid and respected choice against the world champion. Kasparov plays e4, we get the French with elx. The pawns clash in the center, and with white's pawn advancing to e5, we see the classic locked pawn structure take shape. White builds a massive pawn center with f4 and c3. Black wastes no time launching a counterattack on the queenside, pushing pawns forward to challenge white's grip. Kasparov's plan becomes clear. His knight heads to g3 and the h-pawn starts rolling forward. Black exchanges pawns in the center and immediately strikes back at white's chain with a push to f6. The tension builds. White's bishop develops to d3. Black locks down the king side with a pawn to f5. A quick queen check forces Kasparov's king to step up to f2. Kasparov spots an aggressive post for his knight, but it's not the most precise move. There was an even more venomous idea waiting to be found. The strongest continuation was knight to h5, threatening to cause immediate problems. After black castles kingside, the queen comes to c2. The bishop develops to b7, and now the knight jumps to g5 with even more devastating force. But in the game, Kasparov plays the knight directly to g5. It's still a very strong move, but it gives black a window to consolidate. Both sides jockey for position. Knights and bishops find better squares, and then the rooks line up opposite each other on the c-file, preparing for the coming storm. And here it comes. Kasparov unleashes a thunderbolt, sacrificing his knight on f5. A brilliant, stunning move, tearing open the f-file to get directly at the black king. And black makes the best possible reply, accepting the sacrifice with the pawn, recapturing on f5. That was the only move that didn't lose on the spot, a great defensive choice. Kasparov keeps the pressure at maximum. The pawn storms forward to e6, another fantastic move, splitting black's position in two and keeping the attack roaring. And right here, under immense pressure, black makes a critical error. With the position on fire, finding the right defense is incredibly difficult. The key was to eliminate the dangerous knight. The best move was bishop takes the knight on g5. White's pawn takes the bishop on d7 with check. The queen recaptures on d7. After queen to h5 check, the g-pawn blocks on g6, and black is still in the fight. Back in the actual game, however, black castles kingside, and this is a fatal decision, moving the king directly into the path of Kasparov's attack. Kasparov pounces immediately. The queen swings over to h5, taking direct aim at the newly vulnerable king. Black is forced to create an escape square, pushing the pawn to h6. But it's not enough. The knight leaps into the amazing f7 square, forking the king and rook and tightening the net. This is the moment the game is decided. Black had one last, difficult-to-find chance to stay alive by bringing the queen back to the defense. The only saving move was queen to e8, guarding critical squares on the king side. After white captures on f5, black can throw in bishop takes h4 with check, the rook takes back, and the queen recaptures the pawn on e6, just barely holding on. But instead of that, black's queen moves to c7, and that is the final mistake. It abandons the king side completely, and the game is over. And Kasparov doesn't hesitate for a second. The queen snatches the pawn on f5, and the mating threats are now overwhelming. Black is completely lost, but makes one final move. There was a desperate way to prolong the fight, if only for a few moves. The only try was bishop takes the pawn on h4 with check. The rook is forced to recapture. Now the bishop takes the pawn on e6. After knight to h6 check, the g-pawn takes, and the game continues. But in the game, black plays bishop takes pawn on e6, and this allows a beautiful and immediate forced checkmate. And there it is, the final blow. The knight takes the pawn on h6 with check. Black is forced to recapture with the g-pawn, and then the white queen will deliver checkmate on h7. Seeing the inevitable checkmate, black resigned. A crushing attacking masterpiece from Garry Kasparov, and white wins the game.